Okay, now time for the question and answer portion of the presentation. This is where we take the feedback from last lesson and hopefully add some more light and knowledge towards those questions as our company progresses. So the first question comes from Dean, and his question was, for future plans, are you planning to expand more centrally slash nationally? Are you planning to expand more globally in other countries perhaps? Well, to answer his question, for research, most of it will be solely focused in our HQ in Indonesia. This is so we can stimulate the innovation and economy in our home territory and create leading pathways for our nationals by stimulating jobs and innovation. But we will have working partnerships with other research teams around the world on a contract basis. For example, we can hire a research contract company in Germany to further develop better folding mechanisms and collaborate with them digitally through Google Meet, for example. So the one I have here now is Automation Hero. It's a HQ founded in Berlin, 2017, and they're a software-based company. As we mentioned, one of our features in the helmet might be a artificial intelligence system. So we can work with Automation Hero to better discuss security features to add to our helmets, for example. And yeah, but before starting any partnerships, we'll have them sign a contract as well as a non-disclosure agreement to ensure that any design they produce is entirely beholden to FoldTech Industries Limited. This is so that they couldn't steal our ideas for their own companies or for competitors, as if they were to do so, we wouldn't be able to have a competitive advantage when expanding to another country. By having them sign a contract, it makes them liable for lawsuit from our company essentially. And as for our manufacturing means, um, we plan to create more partnerships with local manufacturing companies that are requesting our helmets. So, for example, if we are seeing potential sales in Vietnam, we will work with the Vietnamese helmet manufacturers. This will overall reduce our upfront cost as we won't need to build a whole new production factory in another company, as we can offset that responsibility to the local companies because they have better knowledge of the laws and regulations there. As a result, we receive a small licensing fee as compensation for our services. So this would be one of the factories shown, for example. All right, moving on to the next question. Next, on to the second question, which is asked by our professor, Pak Najib, which is the first one, will your talent and expertise be more worldwide because you are currently focusing on being an R&D company? Second is, why do you plan on licensing your idea to other companies instead of focusing on your production? And for the first question, we agree with the sentiment that being an R&D company means that we have long-term vision of diversifying our assets to ensure that FoldTech can remain afloat for years to come. This is the natural logical step towards any great company being growing is diversifying and making sure all your product line is different to each other. So when one fails, the other can thrive. And which means that after our helmet, foldable motorcycle helmet, the natural logical next step would be perhaps to the skiing helmet industry or perhaps the mountain bike industry because these structures are similar to the helmet. So perhaps we can bring over some of the technologies there towards these markets. And perhaps in the future after that, we can work with scuba gear companies to design a more efficient and compact scuba gear because right now they're really big and bulky, so we can perhaps streamline that design somewhat. And even to the future, we can work perhaps on a foldable bulletproof shield for the military because right now, as you can see from the GIF, it's already being developed by some of the world's top leading engineering companies because it's a high demand thing for dangerous situations. And on a grander scale, perhaps we can develop foldable solar satellites for space exploration. The sky is limitless for foldable technology because humans will always want to make something that's even more compact and more efficient. And by not restricting ourselves to one thing, we can ensure that we have a steady stream of revenue from wherever the demand exists for foldable technology. And yeah, that's our reasoning for becoming an R&D company instead of just a motorcycle helmet company. And for the second question was, why do you plan on licensing your idea to other companies instead of focusing on your own production? Well, that's a simple answer. It's because we think it's a good idea to license our design because ultimately dealing with any sort of safety gear is subject to lots of safety regulations and testing that we have to conduct. So by utilizing a trusted local manufacturing company, we can circumvent that hurdle as they are much more knowledgeable in their own country's laws than we are. So, for example, in Malaysia, there are different safety standards that must be met. And by partnering with local partners, they can help us a lot instead of ourselves being forced to study all the laws. So, this is one of the examples of the standard safety regulations in Malaysia. And yeah, if we were to focus it on ourselves, that takes a long time. But if we were to partner with a motorcycle company based in Malaysia, they'd be much more knowledgeable about it. So, finally, our last question comes from Faiz, and he asks if our products adapt to any concept of cyberpreneurship, and to please go into more specific detail. And regarding this, we refer to the definition of a cyberpreneur, which is not necessarily about technology, but about how we manage technology to improve the value for our customers. And in our case, we run our businesses in the cyberspace and the internet. We have skills and mindsets to deal with the knowledge economy, and yeah, we believe that product plus market plus internet equals the profit. So we've mentioned before, one half of our business model is to license our products into manufacturers. So this is more business to business aspect, but the other half would be more consumer based, which is business to consumer, direct to consumer. And we believe we do this through e-commerce, which is the process of buying, selling, exchanging products, services, information via computer networks. And yeah, we rely on the 3D e-commerce condition whereby we can improve our process, improve our product and delivery method through the online marketplace. And if we refer to the 3D e-commerce cube, we think we are a partial EC, we are a partial e-commerce network because one, all our other possibilities include a mix of digital and physical dimensions. We are a click and mortar based company, at least to consumer, where we are a company that will sell our helmets through the internet, and we will fulfill it in the real world, such as Amazon. Um, and finally, our e-commerce activities are usually an additional marketing channel for us, which is true. And in regarding this, so now that we have established that we are mostly an e-commerce site, at least for the customer business to customer aspect, we decided to conceptualize our e-commerce store using a software design called Figma. And if you see by the GIF, Figma is a design software tool. So I'll show you our designs next. Bear with me. They might not look as good because the question was asked and then between the deadline and now we have around like 2 days, so I didn't really put too much effort into it. But a rough sketch would be something like this. As you can see, this is our e-commerce site, and you can see that this site is more minimalist in theme because that is modern. But it has our logo here. The technology, if people want to click, will explain more about what our core beliefs are, what we do, which is the folding mechanisms and everything. Store is will take you to this page where the customer can choose between 3 different price points for 3 different target markets. So Mark 1, Mark 2, and Mark 3, different prices, as well as a tiny description. That's where the store goes to. Accessories is what we mentioned. So if they want custom designs, if they want to pay monthly installments, if they want additional security features and all that, they would go to the accessories tab. And this is more for the business to business side, is the licensing. So this includes additional contact information on and contracts on how people can perhaps work with us through licensing. And yeah, this is what happens if you sign in, and there's a shopping cart button. So say you were to click on one of this. So if I wanted to click on this, it would take me to the helmet purchase page. And this helmet purchase page shows a detailed outline of this is just a concept, the detailed outline of our helmet, as well as its starting price, its material, its mechanism, as well as the model, which is the professional edition. So we wrote that it's 2 million Indonesian rupiah as its starting price because you could add more features like your custom design, for example, and then we wrote graphite, laminated non-prismatic, hydrodynamic fluid bearings, everything that was in the PowerPoint, as well as a tiny description of what it was. And here is the click to action, which is purchase, as well as an option for them to favorite it as their wish list to see if it would go on discount perhaps. And this configuration will take them directly to the accessories with their link involved to say if they press this, it'll go to like this customization page where they can add additional features and it goes up to the price. And it then gets added to their cart. And yeah, similarly, this is with the second and third models of our helmets. So as you can see, the pictures react appropriately to the type of model. So the first one was a really high-end motorcycle, but the second and third one, especially the base edition, is less less dramatic. So the base things are still the same. So starting price, tech, mechanism, model, and the configuration and for both things. But one difference for the base model, the casual model, is that we offer quick links to Grab, Gojek, and Uber because this is what the base model is what we primarily aim for rideshare services to license us off of. And yeah, those are the 4 designs we have come up with our website on what it could possibly look like. And yeah, that is it. I think I've covered the fundamental questions I was asking in the presentation and gave more context to it. And yeah, thank you for your time once more.